Hi everyone, my name is Akanksha Mathur and I work for FlashSystem development. In my previous videos, we have covered what is policy-based replication, how to convert existing global mirror or global mirror with change volume RC relationships to a policy-based replication in a disaster recovery configuration. In the other video, we discussed about how to move your existing PBR DR policy based replication DR configuration to a DR partition. And now, today in this video, we will move our existing DR partition that we have created to a three site configuration by adding a third site as a high availability site, as we already have a DR configuration. Three-site configuration can be configured in any of the three ways. First, starting with an existing two-site high availability configuration and then adding a replication site for a disaster recovery as a third site. The second way is starting with an existing two-site configuration for a disaster recovery using storage partitions and then adding a high availability site as a third site to the existing partitions. This is what we are going to do in this video. And the third way is to configure a third three site replication for high availability and disaster recovery in a single operation from scratch. Three site configuration is supported from version 8.7.1. And in this video, we will talk about a use case where we are adding a DR config and wants to have a third site added as a high availability site. Here we have a DR configured between site 2 and site 3, and we want to add a site 1 as a HA site, which will be our third site. So the first thing we have to do is configure partnership between the production site and the new system and your existing DR site to the new system. We have to enable PBR in use option under the partnership properties for newly created partnerships from all three systems. For better results or for smooth results, do ensure that your host zoning is done prior to the config for the third site. Or that means your host is zoned with your third site. Here I have already linked the pools for the new site, which is site 1, with the previously added two sites, your site 2 and site 3, production and the recovery site. Now, in the existing partition, we have to add a high availability on the production system. Since pool linking is already done, we don't have to do it here, but this is a place where we can do pool linking. Configure IP quorum. It will generate a jar file that has to be deployed from a host. A new replication policy will be created for topology type as two-site HA. Previously, we had a replication policy with topology as a two-site async DR because we had a DR configuration. Here now see HA is in establishing state. And we can go to the performance chart to see what is going on with the IOs, as it's a production environment and we already have a DR site configured. See, IO is ongoing on your production site without any disruption. Here, in the meantime, HA is now in established state. Here in this partition, we have two volumes, a volume group in this partition and a host. Let's go to the third site and see what all is there. We can see all the volumes, volume groups, host on the newly added site as well. So this is how we have achieved adding a third site, a high availability site to an existing DR config without impacting the IO operations happening on the production site. Thank you everyone for watching my video.